Disclaimer, this role play is for a homework assignment only and is not an actual therapy session. Thank you. Good morning, Morgan. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. What brings you into the office today?
Well, I've had just a couple of things come up in the last few weeks with some people that are really close to me. One is my daughter, and one is a good friend, and um, they have just expressed things in a way that it's just been bringing up for me a lot of pain from things in the past that I feel like I've worked through. But in essence, it's just like I've been feeling like I've been named the bad one, and I'm being named the bad one because I'm an extrovert, like I'm out there. Like my junk is just kind of out there for everybody to see, but it makes me feel shame that other people can hide like their badness, you know what I mean, and that I can't, and so I've just been dealing with just insecurity and kind of fear about being myself.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. So you're saying that you're dealing with some stuff from your past that you've been pretty honest about, and you feel like maybe others are using it against you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I do feel like one person is using it against me. I feel like the other one, it's more that maybe she is in her own process of kind of becoming aware of her own badness, but in the meantime, she's just naming mine as worse than hers. Like it's
so it's kind of comparing.
It does. It just feels like, yeah, and it feels like it's being pitted against me, and so I feel slapped in the face. I feel slapped in the face with my own badness, which I am very willing to admit and come forth with. And so then it feels like people are using it against me, which is just feels bad.
Right. Okay.
And I don't want to get stuck in owning the shame that I feel like the enemy is kind of bringing up, or reminding me of. Like, I want to know how to deal with it in a way that helps me get rid of the lies so that I can be free.
And you said you want to deal with it, and I've heard you mention shame. Would you name your problem shame, or what can we name what you're feeling about this situation?
I don't know if I would name it shame or if I would name it, I mean, would insecurity about, yeah, it would be shame, because if insecurity about my being and how God made me, that would be shame, wouldn't it?
Okay. Yeah, so we could definitely stick with shame.
Okay.
Because it sounds like shame is what's causing you to second guess who God created you to be. Is that about right?
And to fear fully being myself,
right?
Which, when I'm just kind of me and standing in front of the mirror and like, I know I've done some really good work, and I enjoy who I am, and I know that when people really know me, they enjoy who I am. But then to have these people kind of twist that and like,
well, can you tell me about some of the good work you've done when shame wasn't, hindering you or causing you to question yourself?
Well, when you say good work, like, do you mean work in like my work life, or like decisions I've made, or do you mean like some of my own therapy?
Yeah, about some of the decisions you made. Tell me a little bit about who Morgan really is. You said that shame is kind of making you question your identity. Tell me about some good times where you felt like your identity was really strong and you were able to be comfortable in your own skin.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. Okay, so I'm very clear and articulate, and I've had great opportunities stateside and abroad to like MC conferences with hundreds of people. Like one of them that comes to my mind because it was just so fun was I was doing it bilingually in Chinese and in English. And I had everybody stand up because I'm a group fitness instructor. This is one of the ways that I feel like who I am as a person shines the brightest is when I teach group fitness, because I'm intense and I'm motivated, but I'm pushing people to do something that they actually are wanting to do, and we have fun doing it. Well, so that's what I did bilingually, was like I had these 300 women stand up and I was teaching them to stretch, but I was doing it in Chinese, which was just hilarious because my Chinese is not. Everybody was laughing and we were having a really good time. And then in the rest of the conference, they were really drawn into who I was as a person, and I was able to connect things that the speaker was talking about and like encapsulate it. So like it's just this memory of these things about me that are so great in terms of how they reflect the beauty of the Lord, but those things have also been used against me. So I had to do a lot of internal work to actually find the beauty in those parts of me.
So let's identify those beauties, the beautiful parts of you, because that story was awesome. Just like we name the shame, or we name the insecurity, can you put a name to the beauty? What are some words that come to your mind when you think about your identity and who God created you to be?
Well, I feel like a word that I've kind of come to own, like I don't know that name that God has for me. You know, He's got that special name for each of us. I mean, I believe that when He calls me by name, it'll be the name that He has given to my soul, but that I don't understand yet. But on earth, the name that He gave me was Radiant.
Okay.
And so I just feel like I'm intense.
Okay.
I'm the Jesus who flipped over the tables. Right? Okay. So most people read that story and they go, oh, like Jesus was a little angry, a little intense, you know, and I'm like, yes, Jesus is intense. He flipped over the tables, because that's who I am as a person. Like I'm intense, and I pull pieces of a lot of different things together, and I can wrap them in a package and then present them to people in a way that's understandable.
So it sounds like you're articulate as well.
Yes.
Okay. So we have radiant. You say intense, but in a positive manner. We have articulate, and it also sounds like you're very motivating. Is what you described in that story earlier. So all of these things sounds like you able to encapsulate your true identity, but then you have this little um, external factor of shame that comes in and tries to impede what you already know about yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's a voice that says that who I am is too much. And it's a voice that says that who I am belongs in a man's body. That as a man, everything about me would be the CEO of a big company and everybody would respect me. But as a woman, shh, calm down, be quiet. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
So, but you also mentioned earlier about, that a lot of your positive attributes are God given.
Yeah.
So if it's God given, then sounds like you're trying to apologize to man for what your heavenly Father has already blessed you with. You said.
Yeah, because men have named me bad for who I am. So I just feel like I just think it's going to be a lifelong process for me, and I'm so much better than I used to be. But it's going to be a lifelong process for me to really fully own the masculinity and femininity of God, and to say that I am a woman. He made me a woman. He didn't make a mistake in making me a woman, nor did He make a mistake in making me who I am and how I am as a woman, and that it's not wrong or bad, even if men are afraid of it.
Right. So your declaration that you just made is that you realize that the shame and insecurity is not who you are. Who you are is what God created you to be. And even if that is strong, and even if that is intense, and even if that is, what most people may find maybe even a little more assertive than what they're used to, you're saying you own that as your God given identity. So now I want you to try Let's see about, because you said renaming. You want to rename some stuff. Let's see how you can rename the shame that tries to continually infiltrate what you already know about yourself. What are some ways that when shame presents itself, I know you said through maybe family members or friends, what are some things that you can do to kind of shut that down so that it doesn't become a part of who you are as a person?
What can I do to shut it down?
How can you be true to what God created you or who God
I
created you
think
to
there's
be?
something in that that has to do with my continuing process of learning good boundaries,
Okay.
but I don't really know how.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks, it's like I feel like I've been trying to get out of me what I let leak in from these other voices.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? And so, just being able to instead figure out a way to have my skin be a little bit more solid, not tough, but more solid so that when something comes against me, it can just roll off or it can just bounce off but
So
I don't know how.
yeah, it's okay. Well, we can work through that.
Yeah.
This is just our first session, so you're doing great so far. What we've pretty much done up until this point is, um, I've guided you through telling me about your problem, okay? And so that was huge for you to be able to verbalize what you've been dealing with. The second thing that we did is we externalized the problem, which means that we were able to separate the problem from your actual self because a lot of times what happens is if we're not careful, we'll take on the problem as our own identity.
Uh-huh.
So we'll carry shame as our identity when shame is not your identity. You described your identity very well earlier. Shame is just the external factor that's trying to impede your identity. So I want you to understand those two separate entities so that when you are going through life and having to deal with other people, then you understand that I can choose how I want to deal with shame. Shame doesn't get to choose how it's going to deal with me.
Yes.
Okay. So, and then at that point, we get to deconstruct. We get to break down that story of, oh, I'm too masculine as a woman, and I'm better for a CEO versus. We get to deconstruct that, and you will gain the tools you need to create your own story, to create your own um, beautiful, as you said, radiant story of who God created you to be. Because that's what this is about. It's not, we'll never be able to please everybody,
Yeah,
right?
right.
But everybody is not walking in your shoes. And so, you know, this leads us to a great point where I was just like, just for a few minutes, if you, with everything that we've worked on thus far and everything we've talked about, what do you feel like would be an accurate goal for you moving forward with your therapy sessions?
Hmm. I Well, I think it's a goal. So I think because it's something I'm bringing where I'm saying I don't know how.
Okay.
I think it has something to do with boundaries.
Yeah.
I think it has something to do with being when it's just me, myself, and I, or when it's me and my besties who I know no matter what, they love me, they get me, they push me to be the best version of myself.
Right.
I don't have a problem with like things leaking in from the outside, but it's when somebody says something and it rubs up against something in the past and I let it in with it, it just takes me so long to like
Right.
get the sticky off,
Right.
And so I think I'm wanting help with maybe being more aware of when I'm letting that in, how I'm letting that in, and then and figuring out how to make that different.
Okay.
But I mean that doesn't feel really concrete.
You're saying, what I hear you saying is that you want to learn how to use boundaries, how to kind of keep shame where it is,
Yes.
so that it doesn't continue to come in your life.
And just be more aware of when it's actually shame, so that I can very kindly and calmly say no. No,
Gotcha.
thank you.
There you go.
Because that feels like a really good boundary is not to slap it in the face or push back on somebody, throw something off on, like I want to be somebody who can just go, oh, look at that, that's shame. Oh, no, thank you.
Well, and just like you just did that, I don't think that that is outside of what you're capable of doing,
Uh,
because you just described earlier a very confident woman who was able to lead over 300 women in a bilingual stretching exercise and
Hilarious.
have everybody on one accord. That speaks confidence. The opposite of confidence is shame.
Mm.
And so what I'm hearing is you have the ability to have that confidence to where shame is completely shut down. And in the process of us working together, that's what I want you to, as we're talking about boundaries, I want you to continue to think about what positive attributes do I have about my God given identity that really can defeat shame and has already defeated it. But
Mm.
maybe I'm just opening the door and allowing it to keep coming into my world.
Yeah. And so maybe even like for me, I'm just thinking the reason I wanted to see somebody, the reason I is because there is some kind of accountability in being more aware or attuned. And so I will bring into you, like, I want you to ask me, where did shame show up?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I'm on my own, I'm a verbal processor. When I'm on my own, like I can't get to it. I can't see it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe there in talking about it
Mm-hmm.
and in naming it, well, then I can do something about it more than I can when I'm
Very
just
good.
left on my own. Does that
Very
make
good.
sense?
It makes perfect sense. So just really quick, because our time is almost out for this session. So let's say you see Shane this week and he's walking
Mm.
around and he's looking for somebody to pick on. And, oh, there goes Morgan.
Mm.
She's always a good person to play with. What do you say to Shane when you see him come in your direction?
Oh, okay. Uh, I can imagine a lot of things I would probably say in reactivity.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm trying to think about
response?
in the best version of myself, like I would probably go, "Oh, hi, you're Shane. I don't want to play with you. Like I don't like to play on the playground with you. So I'm gonna go somewhere else. That's safe. Like to be able to actually name it, but then choose to turn. And I think what's weird is that it might tell me if this is kind of crazy, but it might take me time of actually choosing to walk away from circumstances literally before I can actually get to the place where I could stay there and do that in my head. Do you think that's possible?
What would happen if you did go to the playground with Shane and play with him?
Oh,
What would happen?
I don't know.
Your reaction says it would be negative. That was a negative reaction.
Scary
Scary.
to play.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Play with shame.
Cause you just told him, not today. I don't want to play with you.
Ah,
I don't want to. Because of, and I want you to think about that.
hmm.
You don't have to answer it right now, but let that be your homework assignment. Think about what am I walking away with if I'm actually playing with shame? Because truth of the matter is, shame does not have your best interest at heart. And when you internalize that, I think it'll be much easier to say no, thank you, not
Yeah.
today, because you know that that is going to be a deadly situation.
Yeah.
There's no good that's going to come out of that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when we're talking about boundaries, the boundaries are very clear. You know what is a healthy, when you're with your friends and they're, pouring into you and this positive feedback versus when shame comes around, he's always negative and he's always bringing these bad feelings.
Okay, so can I ask something for clarification? So when you were saying, what would it be like if you were to play with shame? Where my mind went with that was, oh, like that could be actually a really good way for me as a very intense, articulate person to respond to shame is to play rather than to draw. Like for me, boundaries can be, oh, wow, well, that's an interesting response. So what are we going to do about that? That feels very playful in a response to shame rather than, you're not nice and I don't want to play with you on the playground. Do you know what I mean? So I feel challenged, Dee, by the thought of playing with shame, but doing so in a boundaried way so that shame doesn't then have a grip of power over me in a negative way, but that I can say who I am and how God's made me. I can be playful, kind, curious, and calm, and not have to be a bully on the playground. Does that
right? So you're seeing the multiple viewpoints
Yeah.
that your personality, your identity, who God created you to be, has more power than this externalizing problem.
Yes.
And
But
so
wow, that's new.
it doesn't have to be, him bullying you.
Yeah.
You have the tools you need to overcome, and I think that's awesome. You just did the work, and you just seen how that's possible.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to practicing.
There you go. And we'll be here to practice, and I think that's a great a great ending point for this session. Is just some homework on practicing how different ways how you can say no to shame when you see it coming. How you can say no, not today.
That's awesome.
Or how you can use different parts of your personality to approach it so that it doesn't leave its stickiness on you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
And in all
so
of that,
good.
you're still building boundaries.
That's so good.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I look forward to hearing the updates next week.
Okay.
Do you have any questions, concerns for me before we go?
No, it's great.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. No problem. Have a good one.
Uh-huh.
All right.